with to identify members who have died. The company says it resolved the issue, now taking additional steps to try to protect people's information. That breach connected to a Russian ransomware gang. Information exposed includes birth dates and social security numbers. Jason Walker reporting.
More than 7 million Baby Shark bath toys are being recalled. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the Pink Frog brand Baby Shark Sing and Swim bath toys have hard plastic top fins that pose a risk of impalement, lacerations, and punctures. There are around 7.5 million units currently on the market. More of these stories at srnnews.com.
The following program is sponsored by the law offices of Patrick L. Smith. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Get ready with your legal questions and call Patrick now. 877-943-9673. Again, that's 877-943-9673. The law office is open. And now your host, Patrick Smith.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith, and we'll be live with you for the next hour to answer all of your legal questions. So feel free to give us a call now. You can call in live and local, open studio lines with your legal questions. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. Back with you live after our best of tape aired last week. I'll explain more about that later in the show, but a special thank you to Joe Weaver, who put together an absolutely fantastic best of show for us. Lots of compliments coming in about it. Some of the comments were such that apparently it was so good, people didn't know it was a best of show. Some of them thought it was live still. So that's a good best of show. 877-943-9673. If you have a legal question today, I'm local Central Florida Attorney Patrick Smith. The whole gang is together. We got Peter the intern, Max the intern, Yumiko, and Brian ready to screen your calls. Again, that toll-free number to be part of today's show with any legal question, 877-943-9673. Or you can always email me, Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com. Again, that email address is good during the show while we're live on the air. And also, you can email throughout the week, Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com. So we have a jam-packed show for today because of the best of that aired last week. We're going to get an unusual amount of content, I think, into this particular broadcast. So kicking off the top of the show, we're going to go to our intern, Deanna. Deanna, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Thank you. Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning. For those of you who don't know, this is Deanna's not only first appearance on the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Deanna, I believe this is your first appearance on live radio, correct?
Yes, correct. That's correct.
So you get to check two boxes now when you write that personal statement for law school.
Yep, exactly.
All right. So Deanna's been working very hard, and all the interns, by the way, work very hard on wherever their particular intern project is going to be. And Deanna's project was the Senate Bill 714. So why don't we just start, Deanna, with you kind of explaining to people what Senate Bill 714 is and why it's significant.
So Senate Bill 1718 is a new law that was signed by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and it's being considered as one of the toughest anti-illegal immigration pieces of legislation in the country. Its signing also coincides with the expiration of the Trump-era Title 42 policy, which is creating significant changes in immigration law.
So you notice there, folks, she's already a radio professional because I gave out the wrong Senate bill number. And like a professional, she did not correct me. She just said the right number. So well done, Deanna. Now, we're not talking about this bill just out of the blue. This bill is getting ready to go into effect when?
So it's actually going into effect next week on July 1st.
Oh, okay. So when this bill goes into effect, what's the policing arm? What is going to change? How will things be different in the state of Florida?
So the most significant change is going to be the mandated E-Verify system. So before, it used to only apply to Florida employers with 25 or more workers, but it only applied to those that were contracted by either the local or the state governments. But now it's going to apply to every employer with 25 or more workers.
Okay, so that being said, E-Verify system, the policing arm of Senate Bill 718, this bill regarding immigration in the state of Florida. A lot of people not familiar with E-Verify because they haven't been researching it for the last month. So why don't you just explain to the listeners what the E-Verify system is?
Yeah, so the E-Verify system is an internet-based system that verifies employment eligibility by comparing Form I-9 information with records from the Department of Homeland Security and Social Security Administration.
All right. Was the use of the E-Verify system previously mandatory for Florida employers, or is that a new thing under Senate Bill 718?
No, so that's going to be a new thing under the bill. Mostly it was voluntary prior to signing this bill, but now it is going to be mandatory.
Okay, talk to me about other states. So where does Florida sort of stack up against the other 50 in the U.S. territories with regard to mandatory E-Verify laws?
So Florida is now going to be joining 22 other states that require E-Verify in some capacity for both private and public employers. So these states include more populous states such as Texas and Georgia, but smaller states also utilize the E-Verify system, so like South Carolina and Missouri.
Oh.
But E-Verify requirements vary state to state, so it's important to keep in mind if you have locations in multiple states or employ workers across the country.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be particularly challenging for those businesses that cross state lines. And speaking of challenges, certainly there's going to be violations. So if you violate this new bill, what are the penalties potential employers could be looking at, Deanna?
So the entire bill sets up a comprehensive penalty system for businesses employing undocumented immigrants. Violating the law can result in being charged with a second-degree felony. The bill also increases disciplinary measures for those involved in human smuggling and knowingly transporting undocumented immigrants.
Okay, and then Senate Bill 1718, how does it address identification cards, driver's license for undocumented immigrants?
So this bill actually prohibits local and state governments, as well as non-governmental organizations, from issuing identification cards and driver's licenses to undocumented immigrants. It also invalidates pre-existing ID cards issued in other states.
Now, Deanna, I don't think you mind me sharing with the listeners, but your goal one day after law school is, of course, to become an immigration attorney. So how do you see this legislation affecting immigration attorneys in the state of Florida?
So right now, it's not very sure what exactly is going to happen. This is very murky territory. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. But we, in the immigration field, anticipate that it's going to have significant changes. And lawyers, immigration attorneys are going to have to alter the way that they navigate this area of the law.
So what are some of the changes that experts and attorneys expect to see? So when this bill goes into effect July 1st, kind of what are the big changes? What are the big sectors of the economy that are going to be impacted for better or worse by this particular piece of legislation?
So unfortunately, this new immigration law is expected to have significant negative effects on the state of Florida, particularly in key sectors such as hospitality, agriculture, and construction. It's estimated that about 10% of the workforce in these sectors is undocumented, and a shortage of employees in these labor-intensive sectors could lead to a 1.1% drop in Florida's GDP, which is equivalent to $12.6 billion. Immigration attorneys have been flooded with calls from immigrants from across the state who are concerned about the safety of going to work. These attorneys have highlighted that these types of laws often attack individuals in various ways, causing significant levels of fear and uncertainty due to their initial lack of clarity.
All right. Now, Yumiko, we've got a clip. And Deanna, you knew that we were going to play this clip. So this is a clip from former President George H.W. Bush and former President Ronald Reagan. And they were discussing a similar type of issue. And I want to play the clip. So, Yumiko, we have that queued up. Now, it's a couple minutes, and I want to warn everyone, there's some outdated language in there and some terminologies that references to undocumented workers. So I just want to make that point. We're aware, but the clip still stands as a good point. So we're going to play it with the understanding that we know the language is kind of antiquated. But Yumiko, go with the clip, please.
I'd like to see something done about the illegal alien problem that would be so sensitive and so understanding about labor needs and human needs that problem wouldn't come up. But today, if those people are here, I would reluctantly say I think they would get whatever it is that they're, what the society is giving to their neighbors. But the problem has to be solved. The problem has to be solved. because as we have kind of made illegal some kinds of labor that I'd like to see legal, we're doing two things. We're creating a whole society of really honorable, decent, family-loving people that are in violation of the law, and secondly, we're exacerbating relations with Mexico. The answer to your question is much more fundamental than whether they attend Houston schools, it seems to me. I don't want to see if they're living here, I don't want to see a whole thing of 6 and 8-year-old kids being made, one totally uneducated and made to feel that they're living with outside the law. Let's address ourselves to the fundamentals. These are good people, strong people. Part of my family is a Mexican.
Can I add to that? I think the time has come that the United States and our neighbors, particularly our neighbor to the south, should have a better understanding and a better relationship than we've ever had. And I think that we haven't been sensitive enough to our size and our power. They have a problem of 40 to 50% unemployment. Now, this cannot continue without the possibility arising with regard to that other country that we talked about, of Cuba and what it is stirring up, of the possibility of trouble below the border, and we could have a very hostile and strange neighbor on our border. Rather than making them or talking about putting up a fence, why don't we work out some recognition of our mutual problems, make it possible for them to come here legally with a work permit, and then while they're working and earning here, they pay taxes here. And when they want to go back, they can go back, and they can cross and open the border both ways by understanding their problems. This is the only safety valve right now they have with that unemployment that probably keeps the lid from blowing off down there. And I think we could have a fine relationship, and it would solve the problem you mentioned also.
And they're just two of the greatest statements that this country's ever had. We have President George H.W. Bush and, of course, President Ronald Reagan. And just, did anyone else just feel this sense of nostalgia hearing that compared to modern politics? Like, listen to the highbrow discourse going on between. There's no negativity there. There's positivity, finding a solution with momentum moving forward. But Deanna, the reason I wanted that clip played at the end of your piece was, how do you think, juxtapose these two, that the current Senate Bill 718 under Governor Ron DeSantis versus the whole paradigm of these two great statesmen debating a similar subject? How do you think this legislation will treat, as President Bush said, these very good people? How do you think these very good people will be impacted by this legislation?
Well, there have already been reports of the undocumented workers that work in these key sectors, such as agriculture and hospitality, already fleeing the state. They're right now living in fear. They're confused. They don't know what's going to happen to them come July 1st.
Well,
right
because, and Deanna, to your point, and not, as you said, some are fleeing the state. That's assuming they can afford to flee. I mean, that's a heck of an assumption. Not everyone has the means. I mean, we tout this argument of, well, just move states. Not everyone has the resources to pick up and just go because they don't like a piece of legislation. They have obligations or a lack of means and may not be able to. And, you hear this about the state of Florida being, sort of this place of refuge for so many, especially during the pandemic. Now you're telling me that this legislation is causing people to actually flee the state.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. Deanna, any other final thoughts? Great job on presenting Senate Bill 718 to the listeners of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, but I'll give you the final word on it, Deanna.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I just want to say that I feel like it's very important to keep in mind all the legislation that has been coming out from the state of Florida. A lot of people aren't aware, even though it may significantly impact their business practices moving forward. So it's always best to keep your eye on what's coming out of the state capitol.
So stay tuned for more is what I hear Deanna saying. And Deanna, any thoughts on how your internship is going thus far?
I think it's going great. I've learned a lot. I'm in the process of getting my notary stamp. I'm doing signings partially by myself now. So it's been really great to see how that evolution has happened in a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah, but all that's under the supervision of a licensed attorney, of course, correct?
Right,
No.
correct.
All right. So, Deanna, great job. We appreciate you, and we'll have you back on the show again soon, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you,
All right.
Patrick.
Have a great Saturday. All righty, this is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, 877-943-9673. Give us a call now, live and local, 877-943-9673. 9673. That was Deanna, the intern, doing her presentation on Senate Bill 1718, and only took 3 tries, and I got it right. And stay tuned for more. We're going to have some more special pieces on legislation that takes effect a week from today, July 1st. So stay tuned for more. If you want to email me, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. All right, let's go to Lando Lakes to a very patient Bob. Bob, thanks for your patience. How can we help you today?
Good morning, Patrick. I have a question in regards to like legal paperwork, as in tax paperwork and stuff. I lost my mom and my aunt within about a year and a half of each other. They both lived with us for many years. When they moved in with us, we made sure that their wills were good and all that important paperwork was taken care of when they moved in with us. They both passed away, like I said, within a year and a half ago. We finalized my mom's taxes last year. We finalized my aunt's taxes this year with an accountant. Of course, we've always used an accountant to do all of our taxes. My question is how long do I need to keep all their paperwork? Other than, the death certificate and, the important things that you would keep. But as far as taxes and all the other paperwork that you accumulate over your lifetime, how long do I need to keep that stuff?
Well, first of all, Bob, I'm sorry about your mom and your aunt. That has to be really tough. Bob, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Bob, as far as the accounting paperwork, the tax paperwork, I'll let the accountant kind of speak to that. I know there's particular rules on that. So I would just say, you said you had a long-term accountant. I'd just give them a call and say, how long do I need to hang on to this? My sort of default on that is you can easily scan it into, like a hard drive and just keep it in perpetuity. And you don't have to have a paper copy lying around if you have it scanned somewhere. As far as death certificates, that's less of a concern, because if you have all the death certificates discarded, you can always order more from the Bureau of Vital Statistics. And, the original will is going to be put on deposit with the courthouse, so it's preserved there. So I think that as far as the documents go, the big outstanding question is the tax items. And I think that you should check directly with the accountant as far as what Internal Revenue Code regulation requires.
Okay. Yeah, because everything was done correctly. We know that.
Good.
Everything was done so well that we didn't even have to go to probate on either of them. Most of my everything from my mom had been transferred over to me 10 years ago. My aunt was about 6 years ago. My aunt was disabled. So, we had to really make sure with her. Also, there was a lot of hidden things with her. There was insurance policies and life insurance policies. It seemed like,
well, you say it was
years.
Bob, you said it was transferred over to you prior to their death?
Oh yeah, everything of my mother's was transferred to me over to me before she died.
Yeah, be careful with that,
aunt,
because the problem there, and you may want to go back to that long-time accountant you work with and check on the possibility of possible gift tax exposure. A lot of people do that sort of transfer with the goal of avoiding probate, but they expose themselves to gift taxes. It's not a guaranteed certainty you'll wind up paying them, but you may have to file a 709 and allocate some unified credits to eliminate the payment. But you definitely want to explore that. And you can also explore whether or not there was a loss in something called capital gains basis adjustment because of the gifting. So a lot of times that straight gifting, although it may avoid probate, produces some negative consequences, but it sounds like you guys may have dodged a bullet there, Bob.
Yeah, we did. We made sure of that. The only last thing that I have to settle, which I haven't got into yet, is the house that we own down here. When my mother moved in with us, she insisted that she was on the mortgage. So that is the only thing that's left, is her name is on the mortgage here. We had another property up north that her name was on also. We sold that property about a year ago. Legal up there, told us that it was no big deal as long as we had, of course, a death certificate and a good will, which we showed them. We sold that property up there, no issue. But her name is still on the mortgage here.
Well-
as a creditor, not as, on a deed,
Right. Right. No, she's on the mortgage. She's on as a lender, so not on as an owner of the property. I understand. Now, you had counsel on this, I'm presuming, Bob?
Yes.
Yeah, just reach
Yes.
out to your existing attorney and ask them, how to button that top button and clean up that last item with regard to the mortgage, and hopefully they'll knock that out for you. But it sounds like a
Yeah.
simple cleanup matter as a sort of end of the line issue.
Yeah, that was the only interest I had because I have like a 2.35 mortgage on this house.
That's a
And I
fantastic
don't
rate.
want to
Yeah.
lose that.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you, but just
You
ask
know?
your existing attorney, and I think they'll be able to get you squared away and review the mortgage with you and give you peace of mind that you're looking for. Bob, before I let you go, what station are you listening on?
102.5.
The Bone. We appreciate all you Bone listeners, and Isaiah over there operating the board for us this morning. We appreciate you too. And it really is a team. I was thinking about it today with the prep that Yumiko was going into and the interns working hard like Deanna. You guys I wish you could see the massive amount of effort that pours into this show to bring it to you every week. So again, Bob, we appreciate you. Without you, the callers, there's no show. So we appreciate you calling in.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too, Bob. All righty. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. 877-943-9673. And Bob hanging up, open up a line. So give us a call now on the studio line if you have a legal question. 877-943-9673. And as always, you can email me directly, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. If you want to call in and follow up on Deanna, the intern's piece about Senate Bill 1718 regarding the new immigration law in the state of Florida regarding the mandatory use of the E-Verify system for those with greater than 25 employees. You can call in with a question on that or any other legal topic. 877-943-9673. And now on to the story that I wanted to start the top of the show with, but we had to make room for Deanna's piece. Today, we are going to be talking about inheritances left to pets. That's right, folks. Call in, by the way, if you'd like to guess what the top 4 animals that are left money are. If you can guess what type of animal, we'll see who gets closest to number 1. And we'll do top 4. I think that would probably be the safest thing to do. So 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. And if you have a question about leaving a bequest to a pet, you can give us a call now. This is the time. Or any other legal topic, 877-943-9673. Email me, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. This past week, an article ran, and according to GenesisCelebs.com, which is what Yumiko gave me as far as my source material today, there was an 84-year-old Tampa woman who passed away and recently came to prominence in the media from her November 2022 death when she left her $2.5 million mansion to her 7 cats. That's right, folks. You're not mishearing it. You got a good connection to the show this morning. $2.5 million mansion left to her 7 cats. Now, the interns were assigned this story, right? Peter, the intern? Okay. So, and Max, the intern, you guys were assigned this story. So you researched it, right? You researched it thoroughly. Correct?
Yes.
Name the 7 cats.
Fluffy, Stripes, Socks.
No, not even close. Not even one is. Try to get one of the 7 if you can. You're flexing your muscles. Are you okay? Peter, you're done. Max, any guesses?
I'm gonna go with Bubbles.
Bubbles? No.
Nope.
No. You want to make another guess?
No, I plead the 5th then.
You plead. How could you be incriminated? Are you admitting to a crime on live radio? Okay. I don't think you understand what plead. Anyway. All right. The 7 cats, by the way: Cleopatra, Goldfinger, Leo, Midnight, Napoleon, Snowball, and Squeaky. So Squeaky left a lot of money and a very nice place to live with regard to a $2.5 million mansion. So if you want to leave any sort of bequest. Can you? Yes, you actually can in the state of Florida. You can do what we call a pet trust provision, and we'll get into more details on that in just a moment. But if you want to call in with your question, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. You can give us a call now. We're live and local and happy to help any way that we can. So when it comes to pet guardianship, it's important to designate a trusted individual or organization as the guardian of your pet. This person or entity will assume responsibility for their care and make decisions on their behalf. Discuss their responsibility with the designated guardian beforehand to ensure their willingness and capability to fill the role. I saw this case this past week. Someone passed away, there was an animal, and it was designated to go to a particular person, and all ended well because everything was properly set up. So the animal never had any sort of disruption in care. The animal was just fine. And you want to make sure you provide particular care instructions as far as the feeding, medical needs, any special requirements regarding your animals, dietary issues, medication. And you just want to make sure you memorialize as much as possible in writing for those caregivers of our furry little friends. 877-943-9673. Give us a call now or email me, Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com. All right, let's go to Port Richey and we're going to talk to Robert. Robert, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Hey, Robert.
I've been asked to leave to itemize my assets. Would that necessarily include for reporting them precious metals or bitcoins or vehicles?
Vehicles, yeah, vehicles, yes. I think the precious coins, yes. When you get to Bitcoin, we actually, I don't know how long you've been a listener to the show, Robert. And by the way, what station are you listening on, Robert?
I think it's Talk FLA.
All right, Faith Talk?
Yes.
All right. Well, we appreciate you listening, all other Faith Talk listeners out there. So when it comes to the Bitcoin, we actually did a special on Bitcoin and the bequesting of Bitcoin. And you know the big advantage of Bitcoin, of course, Robert, is the fact that it is a paperless currency, right?
Right.
What do you think makes it particularly challenging to bequest? Right. The same thing that's an advantage from the, asset side is the detriment when it comes to bequesting from an estate planning side. The short version is this. Again, it's about memorialization in writing. The more you can put in writing as far as, where this Bitcoin account is, how to log in, how to secure it. Now, again, the danger there, if someone else got that information, Robert, that could be a problem, right? So you have to put it in a secure location. We give our clients these separate writing attachments where they can appropriately designate the sort of sensitive digital asset information. So I think it's a matter of just making sure you have a proper estate plan set up. If you have an attorney, just go back to them and ask them, hey, where do I do my digital asset designation? And then they will show you where to list that for your administrator, okay?
Thank you. But when I say reportable assets, is that recorded, IRS, etc.?
I believe last time we had Dwayne Bischoff, the CPA, and check with your own CPA on the show. I believe that is now something they are starting to explore. Last I heard when I spoke to Dwayne, there was something about not necessarily a taxing of it, but a provision in the code that was going to require it to be reported to the IRS. So it's like a pre-tax maneuver was my understanding. But again, just reach out to your accountant and maybe we can follow up with Dwayne and have him call in and do a future follow-up piece on that. But right now, of course, accountants are slammed doing their audits. So
may I have another quick question?
Sure.
I loaned very much money to someone who's in denial about dementia. And I checked with the courthouse and it was not recorded. And I thought the attorney that I loaned the money to, who has expired, had recorded it. Evidently not. Now, is there any other proof I might have if I can't find the original document?
Well, hopefully you have a copy of the promissory note, or at least you can go back and recreate the terms of it through what Carl course of business. Now, were there payments made under this loan?
No, but that's it. Another denial.
Yeah.
That it was paid back.
Okay. So without any sort of payment history, it's going to be a challenge for you, Robert. It's not impossible, but you said you already have an attorney?
No, but
okay.
I can.
Then just give my office a call and send me the paperwork that you do have, and we'll give you an assessment on what, if anything, you need to move forward with that. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. I'll give out the office line as soon as we hang up. Okay, Robert?
Right.
Thank you for calling. All righty. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. We are live and local. Happy to help any way we can. If you want to schedule that complimentary consultation with me, yours truly, Attorney Patrick Smith, at any of our offices in Sarasota, Sun City Center. Hello, Vern, down there on our Sun Radio station. Clearwater, any of those office locations, that office line, toll free, 877-754-6764. Again, that toll free office line to schedule your complimentary consultation with me, Attorney Patrick Smith, 877-754-6764. I'll give out that number later in the show. And you can also book directly through the website, attorneypatricksmith.com, or by emailing yours truly, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. All right, let's go to Bradenton. We're going to talk to Kevin. Kevin, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. How are you listening? How are you doing today?
Good morning, Patrick. Doing fine. Another nice day out in Florida.
What station are you listening to us on down in Bradenton?
AM 930.
AM 930. We appreciate you. How can we help you today?
So clarification, is it the enforcing, was that the E-Verify? Is that what kicks in on the first of the next month?
Yeah, being mandatory. That's what I understood based on Deanna's research, was the fact that it was going to be mandatory for anyone with more than 25 employees.
Okay. My question is that if E-Verify has been out so long, so no one else is enforcing it. I mean, to me, it's like they've peddled this out as a reasonable thing to do, but it sounds like no other states are enforcing it.
Well, 22 states are enforcing it, according to Deanna's research. And so it's a thing where not even a majority of the states have it, but some of the states have it. And that's why I played the clip from, President Bush and President Reagan, because I think this sort of legislation is looking a gift horse in the mouth. I think it's a matter of, this is a blessing, not a curse. It all depends on the paradigm with which you receive it. And I think viewing it as a bad thing, is probably the wrong approach, in my opinion. I don't try to get political on the show. I like to keep it I tell the interns all the time, don't touch that third rail of politics. This is not a political show. It's a legal show. So from a legal perspective, the law is basically, like Deanna said, causing people who have the means to flee the state. So that being the case, why would we want that? Why wouldn't we find a way to welcome these folks who, like President Bush said, are good people and can be part of a labor force where there's certainly a need for it here in the state? And why can't we draft legislation like that, as opposed to legislation that is going to sort of lead to this fleeing from the state, as it occurred in some situations?
Well, unfortunately, I think the lack of enforcing the border has caused things to snap back too far the other way. That's the way I see it. We've gone from probably some things that could work to let's open the gates and you have no idea who's coming across the border. So now, things are going to go the other way. It definitely is. We need to know what's going on. We need to know who's coming in this country, and from taxes to school boards to everything else it affects.
Yeah, I think you're going to see the pendulum continue to swing here in the state of Florida. And I think it's probably swung about as far right as it's going to swing. And I think it's going to start, and you're going to start to see more moderate legislation. And that's why I wouldn't be surprised if you see particular pieces of legislation like this rolled back or modified moving forward in future sessions.
Right. Well, as usual, great show. Always interesting to hear different things going on up there.
Well, Kevin, we appreciate your kind words, and thank you for listening.
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a great day. All right. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, 877-943-9673, 9673. Give us a call now. We're live and local, open studio lines, and Kevin hanging up does open up a call line, so give us a call now. I see other calls getting queued. 877-943-9673. Yumiko, there was an ad that recently played, and this was an ad for Chewy, I believe, right, Yumiko?
Yes.
Okay. And the ad depicts, and we're big Chewy fans. They didn't pay for this. We're just, giving them a shout out because the ad's fantastic and kind of demonstrates the point. The ad depicts a decedent leaving his estate to family, but centered front and center is none other than his cat, Mr. Marbles. So, Yumiko, do you mind playing the ad?
The company goes to the firstborn, Audrey. The model train set is entrusted to Todd. Mr. Marbles will receive recurring deliveries for all of his needs in perpetuity, thanks to AutoShip from Chewy.
I always loved that old man.
What's it say about the summer house?
Yeah, the beach house. Summer residence goes to Mr. Marbles.
Plot twist.
I'm sorry, what?
Doesn't make logistical sense.
Unbelievable.
Pets aren't just pets. They're more.
You got a train set, Todd.
Save more on what they love and never run out with AutoShip from Chewy.
All right. So you see here, my best part there is my favorite part is Mr. Marbles ribbing the guy about, hey, pretty sweet train set, man. Bring it over to my summer house. But sort of taking a book or a page out of the book from our friend in Hillsborough County, leaving the summer house, and Mr. Marbles there with his interaction, and Mr. Marbles sounded a lot like an old man. Did you notice that? Not at all like a typical cat voice. They didn't do anything sort of over the top with it, but they're using it in marketing now. It's more and more popular, leaving bequests to animals. People don't think it happens very often, but it does happen quite a bit. Peter, the intern, has a thought. Watch out, folks. I don't know what he's going to say.
Yeah, my grandfather in Texas, in his trust, he stated that whoever gets the dogs, because he has 2 dogs, has to stay in his house until they pass away. So he's leaving the house to them because they're more comfortable there. So the house, and then everything's kind of paid for, kind of like in that Chewy ad, like we've seen.
Kind of let you know where you stack up, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks, Peter. 877-943-9673. So if you have a question regarding pet trust, you can call in now for a will. By the way, so technically you cannot leave money to a pet because they are considered personal property under Florida law. So for a will, if money is left to a caretaker of the pet after the owner's death, the money is not legally required to be spent for the care of the pet. The money would just be granted to the caretaker outright, sort of with the wishful thinking that they would use it for the pet. However, if you shift gears up to even a simplest type of trust, you can leave your pet money and a legal obligation for the care of the animal. If the assigned caretaker does not follow the directions outlined in the trust, he/she can be sued. Now, I've always wondered about that. So let's say Mr. Marbles in this case. Now, our Mr. Marbles in our ad can speak. But think about it in a typical circumstance. How would the animal bring this petition to redress the grievance with the trustee for mismanagement? So I think to that point, you would need independent trustees. You would need a caregiver for the animal. And then a independent trustee, someone who's not that caregiver. And I think that removes that moral hazard for misuse of the funds. So for those of you out there doing pet trust planning, make that note that it's probably going to be important to have 2 different parties so that there is a proper check and balance there. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. Next, we're going to go to Lakeland and we're going to talk to Judy. Judy, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hi, Patrick. When I was a child growing up in Indiana, we had what were called migrant camps. And the way I understood that it worked, because I would go out and play with the kids occasionally from the church group, and the migrants would come up and go through the United States following the crops and work the crops. And then when they'd finished working the crops, they went back to Mexico or whatever country they had come from. And I know where I went to play with the kids, they had houses, for them to stay in and so on. I do not remember how long they were there, but that's one part of my comment. And a term I never hear used is chain migration. And as I understand that, that means if somebody comes from another country and is in our country, at some point they can bring all their relatives in.
And you're saying that as a good thing or a bad thing, Judy? Is this?
Well, I think we have an immigration a problem, illegal immigration problem that to bring. I don't agree with chain migration. If somebody becomes a legal immigrant, that may be they can bring their mother and father and so on. But if somebody has come here, what we call illegally, and then they stay here, for them to be able to bring grandma and grandpa and all the aunts and uncles and brothers and cousins and so on. I don't know if it's still in existence.
Wow. Well, Judy, then, I mean, I guess we all have to leave. I mean, I'm going to share it with you right now. My ancestors came here illegally. And then not only that, committed high treason against the crown in England to stay here. So we should all pack up and leave is the honorable thing to do, right?
How did they come illegally?
Well, we didn't have the original occupants' permission to occupy their land, now did we?
Oh, well, yes. If I guess you're right on that,
but it's uncomfortable when we're right sometimes, isn't it?
Well, sometimes I'm right too.
Well, we can agree on that, Judy. But here's the thing: go back to the clip we played at the top of the show. These are human beings we're talking about. And these are people.
Oh, absolutely. I missed the very start.
Well, that's Judy. You got to listen to the whole show. I mean, it's a continuum.
Well, I got to find you on my radio.
Well, listen, those are labor pains, okay? No, go back, listen to the top of the show. I played a great clip from President Bush and President Reagan when they were debating each other for the presidential nomination. And they were talking about how this is a blessing. This is a great labor force influx, and you make that point. And I'm from Polk County, which is the home of citrus. We understand the importance of labor force and labor workers who are willing to do these extremely difficult tasks. And you mentioned you played with these children. My point is, when you humanize it and realize these are human beings we're dealing with, they're not just things that you can demonize for the sake of a policy and say, you know, it's bad. Say there's a problem and we need a good solution. And the solution, in my opinion, ought to be one of incorporation, not exclusion.
So we just open our borders?
I don't think we just open our borders, but I think the fact that what makes America great is that it is a refuge for people who want to come here legally. I think it's a matter of simplifying and making, while still safe for those of us here, an easier path to citizenship for those who want to legally enter this country.
Well, legally enter the country, yes.
Yeah, unlike my ancestors.
Well, at that time, the Indians didn't, they fought over their territory and so on. So anyway, so you're saying that if somebody comes into the country, then they can bring all their relatives too, even though they aren't a citizen of the country.
I'm saying if everybody can follow the guidelines, I have no problem with that. I think if everybody can follow the rules, Judy, I think that's what makes this great nation of ours so great.
Okay.
All right. Judy, what station are you listening on down in Polk County?
I have no idea, Patrick.
That's an honest answer, Judy.
I run the thing and I can't see what the station is.
That explains why it takes you so long to find us.
Judy, I go back and forth trying to find you.
No, Judy, we're going to fix this once and for all. I want you to call my office this week, and I'm going to have one of my interns reach out to you, and we're going to make sure you catch the top of every show. Okay, Judy?
Okay.
All right, Judy. Thanks for calling in.
943 number?
Yeah, that's the studio line. The office line is 877-754-6764.
Wait a minute.
Or you can call the studio during the week. They'll be happy to give you the office line, okay? We'll make sure to get you in touch with it. But that office line, again, for those of you who are listening and want to schedule an appointment, 877-754-6764. Did you get that, Judy?
6764.
877-754-6764. All right, Judy.
Okay.
Thanks for calling in.
Thank
Have a great
you.
Saturday, okay? Great caller.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, you're listening to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. To be part of our show today, 877-943-9673, or email me, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. So we found ourselves wondering what this interaction might be like the first time, the attorney is meeting with the pets for the first consultation, so to speak, in a non-advertorial way like the chewy.com. So we may have reached out to a colleague and gotten everyone who was involved's permission to play an audio recording of an actual meeting between an attorney and the pet beneficiaries of an estate. Yumiko, I think we have that. All right, go ahead.
Okay, this is a bit unusual, but I'll be assisting you with the transfer of your estate.
Let me stop you right there. Do you have adequate training and expertise to be handling something as complicated as this? I mean, no offense, but you don't exactly seem like the sharpest knife in the drawer.
You're a cat.
And right now, I'm your most important client.
Not my client.
And so I just want to make sure we're getting adequate legal counsel here.
Does seem a bit over his head.
Right?
Look, I assure you, I have all the certifications necessary to assist you in this transfer. I passed the Florida bar, went through many years of college.
All right, we don't need your life history, Matlock. Why don't we just get on with the paperwork, okay?
Fine. Whatever moves this along. Let's start with your legal names as the executors of this estate, starting with you.
I'm Morris, and I'm clearly the leader of this clouder.
Like that's saying much.
So anything related to luxury or opulence is within my purview.
Nice.
Fine. You're Morris. How about you?
Don't act like you didn't appreciate purview.
Your name, please, sir.
I'm Garfield, like the president. And unlike Mr. Fancy Feast over here,
9 lives, actually.
You can't really pigeonhole me into any specific category.
Somebody mention a pigeon?
Settle down, bird boy. Not everything in life is about you getting clowned by a little yellow chick.
What's it? I'm like Curiosity, and you're like the canary, if you catch my drift.
And you, sir, what's your name?
Sylvester. I was the decedent's favorite.
In your dreams.
Laughable.
All right. So then the three of you are the executors of the estate. But aren't there supposed to be 4 more of you?
Well, yes, but they couldn't make it today, so they appointed us, me particularly, to represent their interests. Sort of like a power of cat tourney.
Are you happy with yourself?
I'm just kidding around.
Nailed it.
Enough! Okay, so in addition to the abode, are there any specific provisions you need? Because the estate provides for an individual allowance.
Well, yes, I'm accustomed to a certain level of luxury in my life, and so I don't think it's unreasonable to requisition a gold-plated litter box to be separated from the rest of the herd.
Good luck trying to herd us.
Fine, whatever moves us along. What about you, Garfield?
I really require less ostentatious creature comforts, so just make sure I receive a weekly shipment of 4 family packs of lasagna, and just be sure that they are delivered on any day other than Monday.
That's... okay, whatever. And how about you, Sylvester?
I don't need anything as fancy as lasagna. Succotash is just fine with me. But I would like some military-grade bird traps, complete with infrared lights and...
You serious? Is this bird situation that bad that it requires something like that?
It's been a catastrophe!
Boom.
Okay, this is ridiculous. In fact, listening to you 3 idiots is making me think this is all a ruse. We're done here, and I'm gonna report you 3 to the proper authorities.
Looks like the cat's out of the bag.
Better not be. I use zip ties.
That's it. I'm out.
And there you go, folks. Another great job by our parody team here. A special thank you to Dave Straub, Joe Weaver, and Chemo Gray for their excellent voiceover work. A little humor there about pet trust planning, but it does bring up those points. You have to make sure that you put in the requisite provisions to guard against fraud, because these animals can't speak for themselves. And of course, the worst case scenario is if you make no provision for them whatsoever. They just fall to the residuary, which means some random parties will have to decide the fate of your beloved animals. And you certainly don't want that. We take the time to plan for all our assets. Let's take the time to plan for our furry little friends and make sure that they are adequately cared for in a world where we no longer exist. So if you have questions for next week, 877-943-9673. Again, your toll-free number. You can call in next week to the show. And by the way, for those of you who are curious, I was out of town last week because I was in Omaha, Nebraska. witnessing my College World Series dreams come true with my beautiful wife, Christy, and we were watching our Florida Gators and met Kevin O'Sullivan in the stands during the LSU Tennessee game and said, Coach, great game Friday night. For those of you who aren't aware, they actually walked it off in the bottom of the ninth against Virginia. And I said, Coach, great game. I said, I already got tickets for next weekend. And he looked at me like a stone cold killer and goes, we'll be playing. Calling his shot, and he was accurate. So today they actually play against LSU at 7 p.m. Eastern in the first game of the College World Series final. So make sure you tune in for that. But that's the explanation behind my absence last week and the best of tape. And again, a special thank you to Joe Weaver for working so hard on that. To reach us at the law office during the week, again, that toll-free office number, 877-754-6764. Again, that toll-free office line, 877-754-6764 to schedule in Clearwater, Sarasota, Sun City Center, any of our office locations, 877-754-6764, or email me throughout the week, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. Check us out on Instagram at The Attorney Patrick Smith Show or on Facebook, Attorney Patrick Smith. And again, that number for next week, 877-943-9673. Everybody stay safe. God bless. And of course, especially this week, go Gators.
The preceding was sponsored by the law offices of Patrick L. Smith. W282CI Tampa, W271CY Lakeland, W262CP Bayonet Point.
Online at letstalkfaith.com or listen on TuneIn and Odyssey.
Weekday afternoons at 3. It's the Bill Bunkley Show.
Tune in on Monday for a special week of the Bill Bunkley Show, Pilgrimage to the Holy Land. I'll be broadcasting live and bringing you firsthand experiences of the historical and biblical sites both in Israel and Jordan. Plus, you can see pictures that we'll be posting each day on Facebook. That's Faith Talk Tampa on Facebook.